Well, we are officially live on YouTube. How's it going, everybody? My name is Jared Fuller, aka the Jaybear. Today's date is Sunday, October 5th, 2025. We are live on YouTube. Joining me off camera this week is my dad over here. Amy, she's out in the kitchen. She says, "Hey, I hope you're all doing well. I hope everyone had a great week." My week was busy, actually. So I paid bills last week. I got an oil change for my car. Um, I went on a joyride. I went to Lansing. I went to Flint. Went to Frankenmuth. Went to Owasso, which Owasso, I guess, really isn't considered a joyride. But in any event, I did a lot of driving, a lot of traveling, and it was nice just to get out of the house and get out and see the world for a little bit, or at least the world that I was able to see in my travels. Um, I went down to Lansing. What did I go to Lansing for? Oh yeah, it was just a joyride. I didn't have any specific purpose for going to Lansing, just out and about for a ride. But yeah, last week was pretty busy, and this past Friday would have been my mom's 63rd birthday. It was it was bittersweet, but I got through it. I didn't cry. I didn't feel any, like deep emotion, but I got through it best as I could in the best way I knew how. And I just kept reminding myself, and I had even written this in my journal, that I think I'm okay knowing that my mom is at peace now and she's not suffering. And, but I do miss her like crazy every day. And it's really weird to think that she would have been 63 on Friday. And I lost her back in 2023, 2 years ago. So we're coming up on the 2 year anniversary of her death, which is on October 19th. And that's going to be probably a very rough day for me. So I don't know. As a matter of fact, I think the 19th falls on a Sunday. I don't know if it's, I didn't look at the calendar. So I don't know what day of the week the 19th falls on. If you could check for me real quick, Dad. Because next week is the 12th, and then 7 days after that, I believe, is the 19th. 19th. It's on a Sunday. So, yeah, that's what I thought. So the math does work in my favor. I don't know if I'll take the day off on that Sunday or if I will dedicate the Sunday video update to my mom. I'm not sure yet. I haven't decided. There will be an update in the community tab section of this YouTube channel. Whatever decision I make, that will be the decision. But it's still bittersweet, and I'm still grieving over her loss. So my dad did something that I thought I didn't see coming. No one ever told me what was happening, but my dad had properly had mom's ashes put into, it's not an urn. It's like an urn, but it's not an urn. It's just like a box with, it's a brown box. And well, yeah, you got it from the funeral home. So I guess you'd consider that an urn. What's that? Yeah. So it's not like an urn that you would think in that particular shape. Not like a fancy design urn. It's just like a brown box, and it's nice. But I'm glad that mom, her remains are now properly put away, and because we were shooting for that, and so I'm glad that Dad was able to take care of that because I didn't have the money to have that done, and it was hard for me. It was hard for me to go inside of the funeral home where mom's services were to have that done. So I thank Dad for doing that for Mom. Not so much for me. He did it for Mom. And so, but you did it more for Mom. Not so much for me. You did it for Mom, which I'm very appreciative of. Some other news in my life, because that's why you're all here, because I talk about the week in review, what's going on in my life. So my brother's in the hospital, currently fighting off an infection. Now, I don't know if, I thought about even mentioning this because this is a public live stream. It's a public broadcast on my YouTube channel, as is always the case. So I wasn't sure if, I was kind of going back and forth. Should I mention this? Should I not mention this? And I decided I'm going to mention it. So my brother's in the hospital in Saginaw. It started off as pneumonia, but now there's an infection in his body, and they've got him on antibiotics, and there's something going on with a valve in his heart. I don't know. And tomorrow, okay, excuse me. So tomorrow, according to Dad, tomorrow they're going to run a tube down his throat, and they're going to take pictures of his heart and find out what's going on with that. And we will eagerly await test results. Now, despite the fact that my brother and I have not seen eye to eye, and it has nothing to do with his addictions or his vices or whatever, he's still my brother, and he called Dad crying. It was a distress call. And to hear him crying like that literally broke my fucking heart, because no matter how much my brother and I don't see eye to eye, no matter how much we don't get along, no matter how much I despise the person he's with, he is still my brother. He is still my brother. And yes, I still love my brother. And the reason we haven't spoken, it's not because of his addiction. It's because of the person he's with. She is the root cause of why my brother Jay and I do not speak. And I imagine at some point this is going to get out to him. I really don't care. But he needs to know that the reason we don't speak, or the reason that we are not close like we should be as brothers, is because of the person he's with. It's got nothing to do with his, he's a recovering addict. I'm proud of him for recovering. He's trying to make a comeback. Now he's in the hospital getting treatment for something that is potentially deadly. I'm not saying that anything will happen to him, but at the same time, it's pneumonia is a life-threatening situation. And it's infection that, it translated into infection that is now going through his body, and they've got him on antibiotics. They've been feeding him because he's malnourished. He hasn't been eating. And they're feeding him really good in there, really well. And, he gets a lot of sleep, which is good. But whether or not he watches this, which I'm sure at some point he will, he's still my brother. I still love him. I despise the person he's with, because of the fact that I have tried to tell him numerous times that she is dragging you the fuck down. And the minute you realize that, and the minute you make changes and get rid of the problems in your life, the better off you're going to be. You will notice a significant change for the positive in your life. He's 45 years old. I've tried to tell him in the nicest way that the minute you break it off with her and stop having anything to do with her, you're going to be better off. Not to mention she had me put in jail for something I actually never did. And he went along with it, which is what upset me more than anything, because he's my brother and he should fucking know better than to think that anything she says is truthful, especially when there are two other witnesses who are in this house. I don't hate my brother. I hate the choices and the decisions he's made. And trying to get it through to him is just not enough. I'm sure, like I said, he'll listen to this. He'll watch this replay and he'll be pissed at me and he'll take it up with me, which I'm fully prepared for. I am prepared to have the conversation with him. But I can imagine it won't be a conversation. It'll be more like a shouting match. As is the case, we never have one-on-one, man-to-man conversations about anything because every conversation turns into a shouting match. So I'm prepared for it. But he knows what he has to do and he refuses to do it. So the reason why we're not as close as we used to be is because of her. And I don't care if this gets back to him. I don't care who knows about it. It's because of her. So, and he thinks it's because of his addiction. It's not that. I mean, I was upset by the fact that he was doing things that he shouldn't have been doing, but the fact that he realized that there's a problem, he's recovering and he's trying to make a comeback, I give him the benefit of the doubt, and I give him credit where it's due. So, like I said, whether or not he probably will watch this. But I don't hate my brother. I love my brother. I don't like the decisions he's made. And that person he's with, that thing he's with, is one of the horrible decisions he's made. And I keep trying to tell him, the minute you get rid of her, the better off you're going to be. Your life will improve for the better. But it's like talking to a wall, because it's never going to get through. But now he's in the hospital. He's my brother. I'm concerned for his health. I want to go up and see him in the hospital. But my fear, the thing that stops me, is the altercations that are going to occur if she says something to me that's out of line, because I'll leave. So that's why I'm trying to bide my time, and I plan on seeing my brother. But certain things have to go a certain way before I go all the way to Saginaw to see him. But I want it to be known. I love my brother. He's my fucking brother. He's my brother. And the thing that bugs me is, even after mom died, I didn't have my big brother to turn to after mom died. I was trying to navigate this grief on my own, and it hasn't been easy. I haven't had my brother. I haven't had anybody. Well, my dad. I've always got my dad. But I didn't just lose my mother. Jay didn't just lose his mother. We, as brothers, we lost our mother. And I didn't have a big brother to turn to. And I still don't, because of the person he's with. If it wasn't for her, Dad wouldn't have gotten Jay's face. I wouldn't have went to jail. And I wouldn't have had such anger towards him. She is the reason for that. Much in the same way that, because I carry this grief on my shoulders, losing my mom, and Jay, we lost our mother, and I didn't have a big brother. I still don't have a big brother to turn to, and it kind of sucks. I have Wayne, but Wayne still has his mom. His mom is still alive and well, which I'm grateful for. But Wayne, when I talk to Wayne about this kind of stuff, he doesn't know he can't relate because his mom is still alive. So I've been navigating the grief by myself for the past 2 years. I haven't had a big brother to talk to lean on, for support, for advice, for guidance, because of her. So that's why, we don't speak, and it's a shame. It's a shame. But yeah, that's been my week in review. My mom would have been 63. Jay is on the hospital, and I wish him well. And I really sincerely want to go and see him, but I have to be, very strategic because I don't want to talk to her. I really don't even want to see her. But if she's there, she's there. I can't make her leave. If she's not violating hospital rules, I can't make her leave. If she's not causing a disruption, can't make her leave. But I will excuse myself if push comes to shove. So, and that's all I wanted to say about that. Jay, I know you're watching this. I love you, brother, and I want you to get better, but you got to start making some better decisions. Because now the shit's getting deep. Now it's really serious. I don't want to see anything happen to my brother. I love my brothers, but things have to change. So, now that I've spoken my piece, how was your week, Dad? Stressful. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean it's a shame. There was somewhat it's a family that we know that way west of here. There was a young man who was tragically killed in a motorcycle accident last week. His name was Daniel Popava, and he was only 31 years old. He was just a young kid, and it's a shame. Yeah, he was pretty good. You said he was over here before, but I don't recall ever meeting him. If I did, it was probably just in quick passing, like, "Hey, how you doing?" But I don't. I guess I wasn't really paying attention. I was like, "Hey, how you doing?" If Dad says he was here, he probably was here, and I just didn't pay close enough attention. But he was a young kid. He was only 31, and he died tragically in a motorcycle accident involving a combine, is what I've heard, and that's what the news reported. So I want to make sure the information's accurate. And it is too bad. He was only 31. I think he had a child or children. He didn't have none, I don't believe, but his girlfriend was on the back. He didn't have any. I thought he had kids. Oh, I don't know. He had a girlfriend on the back. So that might have been the first inaccurate thing I've said about that. But my condolences are with the Popava family, and I hope they are able to navigate through their grief. So I kind of put some things out there, and now we are in the month of October. Childhood Cancer Awareness Month is officially over. Although if you look at my Facebook, I'm still kind of talking about some things here and there, and it's not to overshadow Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Although Breast Cancer Awareness Month, they have more than enough push for their cause. And if me talking about childhood cancer still in October offends some people, too fucking bad, I guess, because childhood cancer doesn't get that kind of push, not like breast cancer. I mean, there's actual merchandise surrounding breast cancer awareness. And, I'm going to talk to someone at TV5 and see if maybe next year they can have like a drop for Childhood Cancer Awareness Month like they do Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Not for credit, not for glory. Just to kind of see what they would think about that, if they would even consider it, because childhood cancer does get put on the back burner quite often, and it's not fair. It's not fair. But the horrible thing about it is that Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and this is not a slight against my sisters in pink, but the problem is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. The reason why they get so much marketing is because it's boobs, and who doesn't like boobs? That's what it is. However, children, as little as a lot of these kids don't have a fighting chance. and there's no big push, no big national push like there is with breast cancer awareness. I'm sorry that children um, don't hold up to the standard of what you find appealing, but they are kids and they deserve the same amount of push as Breast Cancer Awareness Month gets. Um, I don't know of any other way to put it. But yeah, I will still talk about childhood cancer and I will share stories of little cancer warriors who are fighting. But I've been 20 minutes into the live stream and we got some comments from chewing off my toenail. Funny guy, he comes in here. It's actually the first in a couple weeks he's been here. Let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 comments. So without further ado, he says, I rescued a bag of crying toenails from a claw crane machine. It cost me $51. $51 to get a bag of toenails, crying toenails at that. I didn't know toenails could cry. Uh, Last night I had spaghetti and meatballs for dinner, and a couple of my toenails were kicked back on a plate and using a meatball as a pillow. Amy's like, ugh. A day without a toenail standing tall and proud from a corn cob is a day without sunshine. They use bowls of turkey gravy as a spa to kick back and stare at the moon. When storm clouds roll in, my toenails look terrified. They will run and hide inside of a sock and shiver with fear. Now I know why my socks vibrate. I was in the middle of signing adoption papers for more toenails, but I got stuck in a toe jam. This morning, and I'm not done. There's 2 more. This morning, I opened a box of Kix cereal and found a bag of toenails hiding and sleeping. When they woke up and saw my face, they couldn't wait to get out of the bag. And last but not least, this was great. Time to take my toenails to the park for beautiful, wonderful behavior. Toenail, thank you so much for the laughs. I appreciate that. Um, so I needed that. I really did need that. The Fox Sunday Flashback will be on tonight, but because of Detroit Lions football, which is aired on the station, the Fox Sunday Flashback won't happen until about roughly 8 o'clock tonight. They usually start at 7. So it will be preempted by Detroit Lions football. Dan Richards, he's shooting for 8 p.m. But in any event, there will be a Fox Sunday Flashback. It just won't be the 4-hour version. It'll probably be like maybe 2 or 3 hours tonight. So, but still, be sure to tune in. And Dan, he said he would try his best to get in as many requests as he can. And make sure that the songs aren't too long. That's just my personal request because, the Lions football is going to kind of divvy down his show. And if you request a song like In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida, that's like 12 minutes long, that's going to eat up a lot of time, and it won't allow for other people to call in with their requests for songs that may potentially be only maybe 3 or 4 minutes long. What's that? Yeah, it starts at 4:30, but because the Fox, the station, simulcasts Lions football, it's going to overtake the beginning of the Fox Sunday Flashback. So they'll be on the air probably until roughly 8 o'clock because you have the post-game show or the post-game report. So that's why Dan's shooting for probably roughly 8 o'clock tonight, maybe a little later, maybe 8:15, 8:30-ish. But he said there will be a show tonight, despite the fact that Lions will be on the radio. So, and you can't hear it on the radio or on the internet because I guess they don't have the, and it's weird because they don't have the permission to live stream sporting events from the station on the internet, but you can hear it on the station, which it's got to be a licensing agreement. That would be my guess. But yeah, if you are a Detroit Lions fan, you'll be able to hear the show tonight on 103.9 The Fox if you're local to the station, if you live in Michigan, if you're in the area of like Tri-Cities, Flint, Owasso, you'll get the station. You'll be able to listen to the football game. I'm not a football fanatic, not personally, but many people are, and many people enjoy and appreciate Detroit Lions football. So there you go. Let's see what else is happening this week. Amy has doctor's appointments. I'm trying to think. I don't think I have anything going on this week. I don't think anything is planned for me this week. I know I have to record some videos for my other YouTube channel called The Jared Fuller Show. I'm not sure what else is planned. I don't know if I have anything else going on this week. I can't think of anything because the thing is I usually play everything by ear. So it's like whatever happens, happens. Oh yeah, we go out to the Pine Run Inn on Monday nights. Yeah, maybe if we got the money, if we can afford it, but if not, that's it's whatever. But we try to make it out there. We make honest efforts and earnest efforts to go out there. Dad and I actually had a plan. Dad's watching football. 30-6. So we were talking about taking a couple slices of bread and burning it in the toaster and taking it out to the Pine Run for our buddy Terry, because there's a long running joke about burnt toast. It was a a trivia question, something about Melba toast or something like that, and Dan says blank toast, and Terry says burnt toast, and he said it with such confidence, and it's been a long standing joke since. We've been giving him shit for it, but it's funny. It's just so funny. So Dad and I, we're gonna up the stakes, and you know what? We're gonna take a couple slices of burnt toast out to Terry. But that's gonna be fucking hilarious. Oh, at Pine Run. Yeah, it's like, could you? I want it burnt, like burnt toast. Put on the thing and you burn it. Yeah. Burnt toast. Well, you ordered burnt toast, well, didn't you? I made a joke. I made a joke last week when I was out there. I said, there's a combination that you guys should add to your. It's a recipe you guys should add to your menu. And the waitress says, "What's that?" I said, "Boiled beef tongue and bananas." And she says, "Boiled beef tongue and bananas? What do you call that?" And I said, "Lickety split." So yeah, it's just a suggestion. and everybody laughed. They thought it was funny. So yeah, I'm well known out there at the Pine Run Inn. Everybody knows who I am. I'm a familiar face, a familiar name. It's just like I went to Bronner's last week, and I had an ornament made for someone, and yeah, had a big old grin. I got a nice big hug, so it was nice. It was really cool. Yeah, it was a little boy who he was born with birth defects, and I had an ornament personalized for him, and his eyes got so big, like, meant just for me. It's got my name on it. It's meant just for me. I said, yeah, it's meant just for you, buddy. And he gave me the biggest hug. And his mom is like, see, there's people out there who don't even know you and they care about you. They want you to be happy. And oh, he was so happy. Yeah. And I think he's homeschooled. Because the fucking assholes here in Chesaning pick on him for having his birth defects and his disabilities and things. And I've always said, you will never make fun of anybody in my presence who if they're born with birth defects, disabilities, whatever. You will never ever make fun of a kid, especially a child, in my presence, because I will rip your fucking head off. Verbally, I will shred you. And it's just not cool. It doesn't fly with me. It's gross. It's disgusting when people do that. But the reason he's homeschooled is because the kids are cruel to him. And the parents ought to be fucking embarrassed and ashamed. But they're not. They raise their kids to be bullies and to not learn how to accept people who are different. And that's a shame. It's gross. And it's not, I'm not looking for a pat on the back. I know I don't really talk about my good deeds. I don't like to, but it just kind of slipped. It was in the heat of the moment, I guess. I was talking about my week in review. And oh yeah, I went to Hope last week too. I was out at Junction of Hope. I haven't been there in quite some time. I love it out there. I decided, and it was on Mom's birthday actually, on Friday when I went out there. I decided to just get away and to kind of let my mind wander and to think about things and to process the day. And everything was good. It turned out pretty good. It was a good day. So, and there was another good deed, but I'm not going to mention that. Dad probably brags about it. He probably tells people what I do, all the cool stuff I do. You do? Yeah, I think, and there was something I wanted to talk about in this week's Sunday video update. For those of you who watch my videos and watch my live streams just to be nosy and to relay things back to people and share my videos out of spite. Let me just say this. When you're an adult and someone is trying to convince you of something horrible about someone else, your logic and critical thinking skills should be far superior than this teenage high school drama mentality of, well, let's believe what we're told because a bunch of people are claiming the same thing and it must be true, because why would they all be saying it? It really makes you look stupid and lazy in your thinking. I can't begin to tell you how many times I've encountered people like this where they're, well, they go by and appeal to popularity. Well, all these people are saying it. Why would they be saying this, Jared? And I say, well, gee, I don't know. Why don't you ask these people why they're saying it? And furthermore, why don't you ask them for evidence for the claim that they're making? And then if they can't provide evidence for the claim, then you need to outright reject the claim until there's evidence for it. Stop making excuses and stop using your kids as an excuse to be ignorant. Because I also get confronted with people who are like, well, I would rather be wrong about someone when it comes to my kids. Really? So you are a proponent of injustice. So if you serve on a jury and the person who is being tried, because in a court of law, we focus on guilt, not innocence. So if you're serving on a jury and the person who's being tried is factually, demonstrably not guilty of a crime, you're going to go by guilty because, gee, I'd rather be wrong. Not to mention that it's someone's life on the line. It's their fate. So you are a proponent of injustice. It doesn't matter if the things that you're being told are true. You don't consider that maybe the person you're hearing it from may be the problem. And when you get this information, you just block, don't ask questions, don't push, don't poke around for answers, nothing. Let's just go by what we're told without question. Let's fly blind and we'll just paint Jared as this horrible person. It's wrong and it's lazy. And your sloppy thinking gets you nowhere. And the fact that you're going to use your own children as an excuse to be ignorant just makes you look 10 times more fucking embarrassing to the rest of us actual adults who care about truth. I mean, if I don't know of anybody who outright, like personally in my life, and there's probably lots of people out there that I'm not aware of how they think, but I would only hope at some point they question what they're being told. Don't just believe it. Because if you just believe it without proof, without evidence for the claim, then you are a proponent of injustice. Lying about someone is not justice. Lying about someone to get back at them by fabricating a story doesn't make you honest. The fact that you create fake social media profiles just to slander someone, and then you want to be held up as someone who is a purveyor of truth, you have already hit a fucking wall. Because the fact that you're creating fake social media profiles, that already shows your dishonesty right off the bat. Which is why I always tell people, when you hear from this Justina Banks, who's likely still talking shit about me on Facebook, that's why you ask them to show you a picture of their face. Let's see some identity. You want to convince me that everything you're saying about Jared is true? Seems you care so much about what's true. Then be honest about who you are. And if they can't do that, then why would you ever take anything they tell you? They're already being dishonest right at the outset because they won't show you who they are. But you're willing to believe what they're telling you? Like, oh, I have a screenshot of what someone said. Who gives a fuck? Who cares?
Yeah, what someone said.
Yeah, who cares? They can say it, but here's the thing. Something else to consider, and I've said this 1,000 times. If I'm being accused of something that is felonious, and we're talking about something that could have me put in prison, why wouldn't the evidence go into a police report? Why do we have just a bunch of claims bouncing around and there's nothing of substance showing that what they're saying is true? Because if they're accusing me of doing something that's illegal, against the law, felonious, not so much immoral, but felonious, I wouldn't be sitting here today. So what's your holdup? And that's another thing you have to consider. Because if it wasn't for critically thinking minds, I would be in a whole world of shit. And I mean a world of shit. Besides that, I'm not that person. Hello, King Bob. Welcome to the chat. I'm just ranting and rambling and talking about old issues, but it's not so old when you have the same people who they think, well, all of these people are saying this, and gee, I would rather be wrong when it comes to my kids. I'd rather be wrong. Oh, okay. So you would rather be a proponent of injustice. Well, thank you for telling me the kind of person you are. Not you, King Bob. I'm saying, not specific. I'm just saying hypothetically, you have people who are dishonest. And I say, well, thank you for showing me that you are someone who is a proponent of injustice and you support lies. You would rather be wrong about someone, and potentially, if it came down to it, if you served on a jury, You would rather be wrong about them being innocent because, it's just my feeling. Well, we don't go by feelings. We go by evidence. Your feelings are subjective and facts are objective. And that's what we go by, objective facts. How was my weekend? It was quiet. But in any event, that's the same shit I deal with daily almost. Um so that's what I wanted to talk about. And I think I made my point, and Dad also agrees. Not just because he's sitting here and I'm putting him on the spot. No, he agrees. Um if I mean, to say, well, I'd rather be wrong. Well, cool. Thank you for telling me that you are complicit with injustice. And thank you for telling me in so many words to avoid you because you're dishonest. Spinette didn't join the live today. No, Spinette, he's been really busy with his YouTube stuff. So Spinette gets a pass this week. Spinette's a good kid. I love him dearly. And he knows that he's welcome here anytime. He's also a chat mod. So he's a chat mod. Amy in the kitchen, she's a chat mod. My dad doesn't have a YouTube channel, or else he would. I'm just a couch potato. A couch potato. You're actually, if we looked at it from a different angle, you're actually my co-host, and Amy's a co-host, and I'm the host because it's my show. But I have Dad and Amy tagging along because they throw in their input when I'm my co-producer. But yeah, I mean, it's just a different world we live in, and I understand there's bad things that happen all the time because in the news, that's all you hear about. But there's more good things going on in life and more good things happening in the world than the shit you hear about on the news all the time. And that's what keeps people encapsulated in fear because they don't think outside of that. They watch TV, they hear all this bad shit going on, just like with that tragedy a week ago today. It was in Grand Blanc. It made national headlines. There was a shooting at a church, and then the church was set on fire. And the person who did it turned the gun on himself. He was a war vet, I believe, or he was an active. He was in a military. He was a Marine. He committed suicide. And then again, why do people do that? They kill other people and then shoot themselves. Just shoot yourself. Yeah, I don't encourage murder. No. I don't encourage suicide. But at the same time, there were innocent lives lost as a result of someone else's anger and mental state. Other people fell victim to that. And it's hard to say. It's really hard to say because I don't foster any ideas for people to harm themselves or to harm others. Okay, King Bob, see you later. But if you're going to harm someone, don't take innocent lives. Leave those people alone. And by what I understood, it was fueled by religious beliefs. That attack on that church in Grand Blanc. It's a tragedy. It's a tragedy. So the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It was on McCandless Road in Grand Blanc. And I've been in that area. I've been on McCandless Road a few times. And I'm pretty sure I passed that church at some point or another. It's a tragedy. Mind you, even as myself, an atheist, I don't believe people should be murdered for their beliefs. They shouldn't be made into martyrs. The same thing can be said about Charlie Kirk, although, as I had pointed out, I don't celebrate his death because I've heard that Charlie Kirk wasn't really a nice guy. He had some really shitty ideals and he was foul in many ways. But I don't, personally, I never listened to the guy. Well, there's a limit, obviously. Yeah, you have a freedom of speech, but you're not free from the consequences of saying things. Like you can't, you're free to say whatever you want, but then we know more about you as you say it. If you're a racist, oh, cool. Now we know you're a racist. If you're a sexual predator, cool. Now we know you're a sexual predator. But we don't have thought crime legislation, which is what most people believe that we should have in this country. Well, I don't think we should have thought crime legislation. You can have any thought you want, whether it's good or bad. It's what you do with those thoughts that counts. We don't prosecute people based on a simple thought. We don't have that in this country. We prosecute and punish actions based on those thoughts. If you have a thought and you act it out in reality, there's going to be a consequence for that. There's a penalty because you have a social contract with the world around you. And if you violate someone within the confines of that social contract, there's a penalty, there's a punishment. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about, Dad. That's the very thing I just described. When you hurt someone, there's a penalty because we are all a part of a social contract. We can't hurt each other. We can't steal from each other. We can't unalive each other. Maybe that's the word I should have used instead of kill, suicide, whatever. We can't do things to each other that is harmful or detrimental to each other's livelihood. We can't do that. I wouldn't want someone to do it to me, and I don't do it to other people. But that is part of the social contract that we all have to abide by. So it's really a shame that the world is the way it is, but you don't have to be the person that the world wants you to be. You don't have to be angry. You don't have to be vindictive. You don't have to be this horribly mad, angry, foul human being. You don't have to do that. You don't have to be someone who joins in on this collective fear that we're all supposed to have. Let's all fear one another. And well, when it comes to my kids, well, we should be protecting children, and you'll never get a disagreement out of me when it comes to that. However, it's the same people who claim that the world is such a horrible, terrible place are the same people who are continuously bringing children into the world. It seems a bit hypocritical to me, you know? I don't know if it's because they need reasons to bitch and to be ignorant, or maybe they just deep down think that, well, maybe the things I preach about the world being so bad, personally, I don't think it's so bad, but I have to say that. I have to go along to get along. That's not where my mind is. I know there's a lot of bad shit happening in the world, but I don't think it's as bad as the media wants you to think it is. I really don't. I mean, what do I do? Stay home for the rest of my life? Do I walk around in a plastic bubble? I don't, that's not a life to live. That's not a prescription for a happy, healthy life. Sometimes in life, you take a risk, you take a chance. Thank you. And you're either going to go out into the world, come home, or you're going to go out into the world and not come home. It's But it's no reason to not live your life. It's just not. And I'm not suggesting that, you go out into the world, someone takes your life. Any number of things could happen. Excuse me. Stupid sinus is draining. Any number of things could happen. It's not necessarily someone else causing your demise. Um, Car accidents, just walking out to check your mail, you could have a heart attack. Any number of things could happen. Yeah. Um, it's no reason to stop living life, and it's definitely no reason to live in fear, because if you live in fear, you're really missing out on all of the other cool shit that's going on in the world. I don't share in that fear, and I wish other people wouldn't. Um, but I've said quite a bit this week. I kind of, usually I don't know what to say. I don't know how to round out a Sunday video update, but today I was actually on a roll. um, I said a lot that I felt that I needed to say, and I hope I'm making a difference somewhere. People come here, they get a positive message, they are positively influenced by something I've done or something I've said, and they kind of change their ways of thinking a little bit. Reconsider what you allow and the things that you shouldn't allow anymore. There's a lot of injustice in this world, and we have to strive to make sure that justice is served, and we need people in power to stop disregarding the Constitution and the rule of law. And people need to be more wise about the decisions they make. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not perfect at all. I've made a lot of stupid decisions in my life. A lot of it is evidenced here on this channel. There are some days when I regret saying anything at all about anybody outwardly, but retaliation is a motherfucker. It is. And and the thing is if you're going to be obnoxious and ignorant when it comes to me, you're going to get it back twice as much and maybe perhaps twice as hard. And I'm going to be relentless and ruthless in my payback. No mercy. You guys, you push me to that point. I'm otherwise one of the nicest people you'll ever meet in your life, but if you rub me the wrong way, you're going to find out. And I don't think we should be ignoring people, especially when conflict resolution, I think, is the best way to handle things. And it's really sad too, Dad, because you and mom raised us kids with the values that you were raised on. Help people when in time of need. Always be nice, be kind, be generous. Be someone that someone else can depend on. So, perfect example. We were at one of J.R. Draper's shows last year, and there was a little girl sitting next to me. I didn't know at the time that she was J.R.'s niece, but she was sitting next to me, and she kind of tapped my shoulder, and she says, "I'm hungry." I said, "You're hungry?" I said, "Okay. Would you like a slice of pizza?" She says, "Yes, please." I went and paid for it, brought it back to her. And I think it was her grandmother who got really pissed at me. "Well, you didn't have to do that for her. Her dad's here. He could have bought it for her." So instead of saying thank you for the kind gesture for my granddaughter, she threw a bitch fit about it. And JR had to have a talk with her and say, look, those are my friends. I know him and he has no evil intentions. Jared is just that kind of person. So he had a talk with her. The ideals that you and mom raised us kids on, sadly, do not hold up in today's world because there are a lot of ungrateful people. No one knows how to be grateful for kind gestures, for stopping to help somebody who's in need of help. I've said this 1,000 times. I am the last of a generation who was raised on old school principles. And in 2025, they get frowned upon. They get overlooked. How will someone like, say, myself and other people in my age demographic, how are they ever going to survive knowing that the principles and the roots and the values that we were raised on don't hold up in today's world? How are we going to survive? Furthermore, how will the next generation after us, how are they going to survive in this world? Because there's a lot of people I personally know who are around my age group, and they are raising their children with the values and the principles that they were taught, which I think is great. Because we need to do away with this collective fear bullshit. And we need to look at the world in a more bigger picture and say, look, I am a decent human being. If I have the resources to help somebody, I will help them. I'm always down to help somebody.
Or if you don't, you say, I'll see what I
Yes.
can do.
I don't have and if you don't have the resources, you say, I personally don't have the resources, but I can direct you I can put you in the right direction of where those resources may be found, which is still good enough. I've had to do that many times. I do not regret being the person I am. I'm not perfect. Nobody is. But every day I wake up in a world where people are always constantly ungrateful. They do not apply logic and critical thinking anywhere. And it's almost as though I am living in a high school musical with grown adults acting immature, with critical thinking they don't have, and their thinking, generally and broadly speaking, is not superior to the bullshit and the nonsense that we hear about every day. It's nonsensical, the world I live in. Do better. It's not too late to do better. Today is a new day. Tomorrow's another day. Do better. Help people. If you can, help them. Don't be deceitful like Russ Boggs. I'm putting names out there again. Fuck it. Don't be deceitful. Don't be a sex crazed buffoon. Don't be someone who roots for your demise and then has the temerity to call themselves a good human being. Don't be that person. If you respect yourself, other people will respect you. And if you respect other people, you may get the respect in return if you're honest. So just be a good person. That's how I'm going to end this week's Sunday video update. And I think I wrapped it up on a good note. So, Dad, any final thoughts before we hit the road?
Be good to one another and watch your neighbors and everything.
There you go. Amy? Peace out and be safe. And I will echo what they say. My name is Jared Fuller. Thanks for stopping by this week, listening to me rant and ramble and talk about personal things in my life. Jay, I love you, bro. Thanks to Chewing Off My Toenail and King Bob for coming in this week. Spinette, he's probably off doing his own thing right now. Life isn't so bad. It's not fair but it's not bad.
Life's like a box of chocolate.
No, we're not quoting Forrest Gump. Life may not be fair, but it's not bad. Get out there and make the best of every day. And you know, Russ Boggs, it's not too late for you either to man up
Change.
and quit being a childish little bitch. So make the world better, please. Stop the hatred, stop the nonsense. Be a good person. It's not hard to do. I'll see y'all next week. Have a good one.